There you go, look. Are you a small one?
Why?
Oh, he's a wee little. Oh, I love it. Hello and welcome to Outlook Bookseller. It's Thursday morning. I'm going to post this on Thursday morning. I'm absolutely shattered, as you can probably see. That's because I've been back at work for 2 days, 10 days off, 2 days on, finished. I'm too old for all this, really. I should retire. But, you know, it is what it is. We haven't got the huge sums of cash, which, you know, the likes of Mr. Trump has. And this is just like a quick fill-in thing, because I'm not buying books at the moment. I'm not going to set myself one of those like, oh, I must read 100 books before I buy any more things. I know Matt at BookPut has just done that, so which I completely understand. But I'm more of the mind currently to get rid of some books, so I can do some sorting out, which you may well see on the channel. And in the new year, because it's too late this year now, mostly, I'm going to get rid of a load of things because I've just got so much and I can't move. And it's actually affecting my reading. I've had a bit of a reading block. I've had a writing block for years, but I've actually had a reading block, which does happen now and again. And it tends to happen when I step outside my well-worn instinct for what I like and experiment with things which are just maybes, and that usually fails. But so I'm actually at the moment starting to read Kingdoms of the War by Robert Silverberg. This is just the jacket. The book is by the side of my bed, which I've had for a while, and if anybody can bring me around, Uncle Bob can. And I think I've said already that I intend this winter just to read writers I like, and you know, so if I cover people you really know about, well, you know, that is the way it is. But some freebies I had, which I want to do some shout outs for, and it counts as like a tiny minuscule book haul in a funny sort of way. And you will have seen maybe on Richard Rempel's channel, Vintage SF. Hey Richard, Richard over in Canada then, Winnipeg. He and I did a chat, and there's, I think it's about 45 minutes to an hour, and that's on his channel, and we talk about several things, including Keith Roberts, John Wyndham, all sorts of stuff. And then there's a 20-minute segment of me and Richard talking in the club room. And yes, membership's only $4.99 a month for an exclusive video a week. There's 2 actually this week in the club room, and there'll be a proper full-blown video here coming up on Saturday, but this is just to fill in. And Richard sent me a couple of things, which was really nice of him. He sent me this, The Best of Philip K. Dick, in the Del Rey edition. Of course, these are uncommon in the UK. And had I ever seen this in the wild, I'd have picked it up. And it's a nice copy, actually. It's got an unbroken spine. Now, I've read all of these, as I've read everything by Philip K. Dick. And I'd read it all like decades and decades ago. By 1986, I'd read everything extant. And the bits and pieces which came out, then I mopped up as they came out. And the reason why he sent me this is he needn't have done it. He should just have sent me a contents list, but he's such a kind man, he had a spare. Is that I think we're going to do it late December, early January. Me, Richard, Ira at SF Words of Wonder, and Matt Defoe at Science Fiction Reads, all lovely chaps. We're going to do a 4-way talk about this. We're going to do a super review. And it's given me the opportunity to go back and reread some of these. And that's why my bus ticket is sitting at the top. I've got tons of bookmarks, but all I could find by the side of the bed was a bus ticket. How it got there, I don't know. And this is all classic stuff. What's interesting about this is that, of course, PKD wrote the majority of his short stories in the 1950s, before his career as a novelist really got going. His first sort of novel was published about 55, 56, Solar Lottery. And looking back through these stories, nearly all of them are published up until 1955, then there's a jump to 63. So he didn't write so many stories after then. And I remember buying the collected stories of PKD as they were issued as single volumes in the UK by Gollancz and Yellow Jackets. And I think it's volume 2. The stories are all from 1 year, and it's a big chunky tome. So there's some absolute classics in here. And what's interesting is that 3 of these have been made into films, and I'm going to talk about that when I talk with the guys, but I'm really enjoying going back to it. I do love PKD. Some of these stories I've read loads of times, but they're also worth going back to. I'm not a believer that Dick's short fiction is better than his novels. I know Scott Bradfield is. I think his novels are better, but some of the short stories are absolutely superb, and you can see how they became germs of later novels very often. Then Richard also sent me a book which is very, very scarce over here, which is the Berkeley US paperback edition of The Chalk Giants. Now, this isn't too hard to get if you're in the States or in Canada. You can also get the hardcover fairly easily, and this is a bowdlerized text, and I'd read about how it had been messed with by the editor at Berkeley, and how Keith was very annoyed about that. And I'm going to go into that in some depth at some point, because even though Richard and I have talked about Chalk Giants, it is a text which fascinates me, and I want to go back to and go into even more depth with it. But what's brilliant about this, what's shocking about this is that the first 2 chapters from the proper edition, the UK edition, are removed. So that's about 40 pages. The frame narrative is removed, and the interstitial sections which link the short stories, as this is a fix-up novel, are missing. So you begin 40 pages into the story with probably its most bizarre vignette, Monkey and Prue and Sal. And if you didn't read the back says a nuclear holocaust and the rise of a new civilization. And, you know, you don't get any of the nuclear holocaust stuff in this. You don't get the run up to what happens. And it's one of the best pieces of Keith's writing. But I will go into that at some depth. But thanks, Richard, for that, because that's hard to find over here. And being a total Keith Roberts nut, I've long wanted to do a textual comparison. Then onto the very wonderful Jules Burt. I hope you watch Jules Burt's channel. Jules Burt and I have been friends for, gosh, how long is it? About 13, 14 years. We should work together. And Jules recently did a video where he had a lot of Peacock books, which are a long defunct Penguin imprint. And Jules, as you probably know if you watch his channel, is a huge Penguin collector and all-round good guy. And we've done lots of collabs. So if you haven't watched Jules's channel, do. And I'm going to put a link into one of his Puffin, which is Penguin children's books. He's done some great Puffin books, and me and the video editor, we love watching them. So as we're always doing each other little faves, Jules had some duplicates, and he said, I'll send you a box of Peacocks for the good lady, for the video widow. And I thought, well, how very nice of you, because he had some dupes. So I'll show them to you now. This book I'm going to show you now, this is the sort of book I never show on this channel and probably never will again. But it was included. And this is the Peacock Cookery book by Betty Falk. Have a look at this cover. Wow. There you go. What can you say? What a cool guy, eh? This is, I would say this must be, it would have been 60s originally. Let's see. And gosh, 1964. My kitchen looked like that at home when I was a kid. And he looks stunningly modern for 1964. So that's probably the only cookery book you'll ever see on here. And that's because cookery books drive me mad. I mean, I have to work with them, and they're an important part of book selling because they're good sellers and they bring lots of money in. But the cookery book has gone through considerable evolution since then. And in the last 10 years, since the art publisher Phaidon came on board and raised the bar, cookery books are now quite beautiful, but they're still just books about food, you know. I want to eat food, I don't want to read about it. Then he sent me some children's novels. I say sent me, it's for us, the two of us, the video editor and I. And I just wanted to go through them, and they're really charming. And I haven't quite worked out what the thing is with Peacock as opposed to Puffin. Maybe they're sort of like a quasi YA thing. I don't know about them really. And this is Enid Bagnall's National Velvet, which of course was made into a film with Elizabeth Taylor when she was very young. I haven't seen it for decades and decades. And it's about a girl who gets into the big horse race in the UK, the Grand National, which everybody bets on over here. And yeah, really, really good. And let's see, this is from, let's take a look, from 1962. It was first published in 1935. 1962, that's the year before I was born. So this book, which is in pretty good nick, slightly bowed spine, and you'll notice on the back there's no blurb. The back is pretty much the same as the front, different illustration, and there's no blurb. That's confidence that people would buy a book purely on its reputation and the beauty of its jacket. If you buy a book now, it's slathered in text. There would be so much text over this, it's not true. So there you go. Never read it, and that might be fun actually. So there you go. Girls and horses, they do like their horse things. In fact, I might put a little bit of snippet of a horse in here, or maybe at the beginning for you to see. My little friend of a horse. I've got a big friend horse, who I call Dobsy, and I've got a little friend horse who's called Hemi. I'll show you in a minute. Henny. It's a henster. It's a small horse. Dobsy's older, he's a big horse. Anyway, we've also got When the Legends Die by Hal Borland. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? Great, isn't it? And let's just say there's no blurb on the back. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And this looks like a Native American, let's see. Yeah, this is a Native American and cowboy story. Very interesting. And I don't know anything about Hal Borland. And this is from 1963 again, so the year I was born. So it's good looking back in this time capsule way. Really great. I might give that a go. So that's a bit of a Western, I suppose, in a way. Then we've got a book which goes right the way back to, let's see, 1906. And this is Marjorie Bowen's The Viper of Milan, which is an historical novel. And charming cover, as you can see. And when this was published, she was something like 16 or 17 years old, and Graham Greene read it and it blew him away. And he does an introduction in this and he says it's really good. You know, Graham knew a good writer when he saw one. So, and I'm always very interested in Italy, Italian history, culture, everything really, but Italy fascinates me. And yeah, so 14th century Italy, warring struggles between the city-states to gain control of the northern plains. So that'll be a good thing, a good adjunct to my Italian reading. Really nice, isn't it? So, and Graham Greene as well, because Graham Greene had a house on Capri, my favourite place in the world, where he used to retreat and write a novel sort of every year. He did that for years and years and years. And when I go there, I try and visit. You can't get in the house, you can get the exterior. I try and sort of nip around and do a quick homage to the Greenster. Then we have, this is one I don't know, Margaret Irwin, Still She Wished for Company. Now, you won't get a title like that in a children's book these days. It's way too sophisticated. Still She Wished for Company. But it's a good title. It rather reminds me of Trollope. Trollope used to write books with titles like Can He Forgive Her? And He Knew He Was Right. You know, brilliant. You know, they're superb titles. And I say know very little about this at all. It's a strange and enchanting ghost story. Ooh. Set in a no man's land between the 18th and 20th century. A fourth dimension. Wow. So it's actually a sort of posthumous fantasy. Very interesting. And when did this come out? Let's have a little look at this. 1924. And again, these are all 1963 printings, which is great because, again, it's the year I was born. Isn't that fantastic? So, and couple of wraiths on the, or shadows on the back there with some flowers, and again the confidence in not having a blurb. There is a blurb inside, so instead of like an author bio, you get it there on the first page, which is brilliant. Then we finish with quite a famous book really, which is a sequel to Gulliver's Travels, and I do have a contemporary edition of this, and it's by a writer who was well known for a very, very famous fantasy sequence, and that's T.H. White, who of course wrote The Sword in the Stone, which is part of, you know, the whole Arthurian thing he did. This is Mistress Masham's Repose, and this is a sequel to Gulliver's Travels, and it's quite clever because what it does, it takes one of the characters who's briefly in Gulliver's Travels, and it goes off at a tangent with that character. And I've not read it. I say I've got one, but I've never got to reading it. And particularly nice edition there. And again, I think it's from 63, and it was published in 1947. This one has 2 shillings written on it there, which is a shame, but it is what it is, which is 10p in today's money. Or it was in 1971. It was worth now, I don't know. So there you go. So thanks to Jules for those. I'll put a link in. I'm going to leave you to it now, but I'm going to show you my little horsey friend now. Bye for now. On Saturday morning, there'll be a new long form video in which I look at my science fiction reference books, which you're going to love. See you later. Hems. You are the dawn horse, Eohippus, Hyracotherium. Yeah, just like in Valley of Guanji. Your little one, you're capturing your gorgeousness at all levels. Your little horse. There's Dobsy, the big horse, he's over there. But you're a small horse. Yeah, as such. utterly gorgeous. Do you want your close-up? Yes, he said close. I think you're possibly too close now. You're to eat my bag. No, you're not allowed to eat my bag. It doesn't contain edibles. The hamster.